my name is Nicole and welcome to another writing vlog. Back in NaNoWriMo 2022, I wrote the first draft of my romance novel, which I'm calling Project 2A. And this vlog is about the start of a new Camp NaNoWriMo, which is happening this July. It is currently July 2nd, and I'm only getting started now. If you don't know what NaNoWriMo is, it is a challenge that happens every November where writers all around the world aim to write the first draft of a novel, which is 50,000 words in the month of November. So I did that in 2022, and there is something called Camp NaNoWriMo, which is like an accompaniment to NaNoWriMo, but instead of having a set deadline of 50,000 words, it's really up to you to choose what you want to do for the challenge in the month. So Camp NaNoWriMo happens every April and July, I believe, and I'm starting another Camp NaNoWriMo now. I basically didn't really know what I was going to do for this Camp NaNoWriMo until just now. If you have been following my progress, you know that I have recently been working on editing my second draft and trying to get it all wrapped up. But as of now, as of today, I have shut the door on the second draft, and going forward, I am going to be editing the second draft to have it become my third draft. I last left you off with me saying that I was going to purchase a printer so I could print off my second draft and start editing it that way, and I did. The printer arrived the day after my birthday, so it was like a little belated birthday gift, and my husband and I got it all set up and it has been working wonderfully. Today I finally printed for the very first time my entire manuscript. And I have it right here in this wonderful green binder. As you can see, it is my full manuscript. The one thing that I have learned, which I will do next time, is that I totally forgot to add page numbers to my manuscript. Silly me, so maybe I'm just gonna handwrite them in as I go or add in some tabs to mark the chapters. It's just really funny because I made an effort to make sure I properly printed out my table of contents and everything, which has page numbers, and then the actual manuscript itself has no page numbers. So in the end, after I double spaced my document, I ended up with 270 pages. But going back to Camp NaNoWriMo, it is up to your own interpretation on what kind of goal you want to set. For last time's Camp NaNoWriMo, I just set a goal of basically either writing or editing 30,000 words, and I was able to accomplish that, which is really amazing. But this July, I just want to take it easy in the sense that I don't want to put a huge amount of pressure on myself to get a whole bunch of editing done. Initially, I was thinking that I was going to make my goal to go through the entire printed manuscript and edit every single chapter or annotate every single chapter. After counting out how many chapters I have, I thought I was going to do it where I would take the number of chapters times 1,000 words. So every time I completed editing a chapter, that would give me 1,000 words towards my word count goal, because that's how the NaNoWriMo website determines if you're meeting your goal or not. It only bases it on word count. And I thought that's what I was going to do until I realized that I have about 50 chapters in my manuscript. My novel is from the point of view of two protagonists, so each chapter I do flip back and forth between the perspectives, but that means that some chapters are a lot shorter than others, and I was just thinking I don't know if I can do 50 chapters in just 1 month, so I'm gonna take it easy on myself. I'm gonna set a word count goal of 25,000 words, so that's about half the chapters in my manuscript so far, and we'll just see how far I go. If you're new here, I do work an office job. I work 9 to 5. Typically, I like to write or edit in the mornings when I can squeeze in any time, but sometimes that amount of time is just 20 minutes or less. I'm gonna try and do some other things to make this more exciting for myself and maybe more exciting for you during this challenge. I want to try making a paper tracker for myself so I can track all of the chapters that I've been editing, and of course, finding out ways to kind of make just the blank pages a little bit more fun as I go along. I did buy a brand new pack of red pens, which I'm kind of nervous about using because, I don't know, the idea of marking my manuscript up in a red pen really makes me think that I'm kind of like a school teacher, like I'm grading my own work. But I do know that people use red pens, so that there is a strong contrast between the black ink on the page and what you are adding or making edits for. So I'm very excited. I know there's like a proper way of editing, proper editing, annotation, but like I said, I just want to take it easy on myself and just do whatever form of editing works best for me. So you are going to see me go through the process of manually editing my novel, and I really just want to make it as screen-free of a process as possible. So I think I'm going to be grabbing another notebook and writing my notes in the notebook alongside my printed binder. I could just really use a break from staring at a screen all day. So this is the second day. I will be doing a little bit of editing. I don't think I will do a full chapter. It's already pretty late in the day and I have work tomorrow, so I don't know if I'll get around to it, but I will take you along with me when I do start the editing. Good morning and happy Tuesday. I missed talking to you yesterday. I didn't get a chance to do any editing, but that is okay. As I always say, I'm taking it a little more relaxed this time around, and yesterday was just more focused on me getting my week started at work and doing a little bit of work on my video that'll be going up this week. So Sunday evening, I did get around to doing some edits on the paper copy of my novel. It was actually pretty fun, just getting to like lay down on the floor, have my binder open and just making a bunch of notes. And then also I've been making notes within this notebook of things I either want to come back to or just little tidbits of information that I think will be really helpful to me later on in the process. I ended up going through 2 full chapters, which was more than I expected to do, and I think it went by a little bit faster than I thought it would, but definitely taking the time to read line by line very slowly for the second chapter, which was quite a bit longer than the first one, was a lot of effort, but I think it's worth it. I can already kind of see things that, oh, this will be coming up later in the story, and just little bits and changes and things I want to do. So feeling good about that. This morning I started a little bit of editing on the 3rd chapter here. I have not made any actual updates to my progress yet. I know I mentioned I was going to be making a little chart to keep track of my progress and also keeping track of it on the NaNoWriMo website, which I have not updated yet. I got this new journal called a focus journal. I think it just came out very recently. I saw it in a store and I just had to get it because it's marketed towards people with scattered brains like me and who can't keep up with bullet journaling. I've tried bullet journaling in the past, but I often get overwhelmed with like all the blank pages and having to fill in everything myself. This is a really awesome little journal that kind of has a very minimalistic template for you to use to keep track of your goals and what's happening each day. And I like that it's undated, so I can come back to it at any time, because whenever I use a journal with dates, which I tried to do at the start of this year, I often forget about it for weeks at a time, and then when I come back to it, I'm too overwhelmed to write in it, so I love that this one is undated. But anyways, I wanted to show you that I have made a little chart here so I can keep track of my progress. I drew a heart for each of the 25 chapters I'm hoping to edit. And as I go through each chapter, I'm going to be coloring them in, but I haven't done that for the first 2 chapters yet, so I will get to that later and show it to you. And yeah, there's a little section here where I can write down different goals and priorities that I might have, and then an end date for when I actually accomplish the goal or when I've decided it's time to stop working on it temporarily. Here's an example of the daily page layout. So it's got a section where you can write down your important tasks and keep notes on this other page. And I really like that you can use each of these spreads to keep track of multiple days instead of just like one day at a time. And like I said, they're undated, so I can make this as long as I want. If I'm not going to be writing a lot, I could make it for the whole month of July, but we will see how things go. And yeah, I'm really excited to use this journal to keep track of my progress, but I will keep you updated on how it goes using this. But for now, as always, it is time for me to go off to work, so I will talk to you later. Good morning, everyone. It is now Thursday. The week has gone by so fast, and I'm sorry I have not checked in with you, but I am checking in with you now. There has been a lot of noise going around my place recently in the mornings, and the mornings are definitely the time I like to film because I get this wonderful natural light, but it's a little bit awkward when there's all this noise happening and I don't want it to be picked up by my camera. There's some happening right now, so I hope you can't hear it. But anyways, I have been continuing to do a bit of editing and revision of my manuscript each day. Typically, I end up doing it in the evening while my husband is playing Zelda and I get to watch and just read and take in what's going on in each chapter. I know I said I was trying to avoid screen time, but I'm working on it. Still, my mornings are mostly spent editing a video and just getting ready for the workday, and then my evenings are more the time for me to settle in and write with my novel because it's just time to relax. And I do find this quite relaxing to do, although I still have a bit of the ick while I'm doing it. Like, it takes me a little bit to like brace myself to open it up again and review it. I need to count to see how many chapters I've done so far in total. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 and a half-ish. I thought I'd done a lot more, but like I said before, the chapters are all varying in length, so I'm sure my progress will be a little bit staggered, some more than other days. I'm feeling a little bit lost because while I'm just kind of like going through it and reading it and taking in the information, my brain wants to jump ahead to what I'm going to be doing next, and I'm honestly like, well, I just found this gap here, or I just found this section I could rewrite now. Why don't I just do it right now? And I have to keep stopping myself and telling myself, no, I'm supposed to just be taking it slow and taking everything in and just treating this like a nice, relaxing time for me to really absorb everything that's already in my novel so I can come back to it after I've done the whole read through and little edits here and there to make it the best third draft I possibly can. Not that I'm setting super high expectations for this to be like the final perfect draft, but I have to remind myself that this isn't about me going and fixing everything now. It is about me taking it all in and making notes to myself about where I need to make changes later, which is really hard. I find myself trying to do little rewrites in the margins, which just doesn't work well. I spend a majority of my time typing on my computer, and the only time I write stuff out is to like write a sticky note or to write in my journal, so my writing is not the most legible right now. So I don't even know if these notes will make sense to me in the future. Some really funny things I've been noticing is because I wrote this novel during NaNoWriMo, and NaNoWriMo is very much about just getting the writing out, not worrying so much about the quality, or at least that's how I treated it. There's a lot of fluff and there's a lot of random repetition in the words I was writing. One sentence that just really cracked me up because I was like, what is going on? It was like writing about my main character and how she can't fall asleep because she's thinking about the guy that she's interested in, and it's just like on her mind. She can't stop thinking about it, but she's trying to use excuses for why she actually can't fall asleep, anything that's not him. So I was just like, character lying in her bed that night, could not sleep, was tossing and turning. It was so hot that night. Next sentence, she was so bothered by the heat. It was clear that her mother, sleeping in the other room, was not bothered by the heat. It was a warm night. It was hot. Like, just going on. And then another thing was like, character's sister leaves the room and then comes back into the room, but I basically wrote it like, sister left the room to go and take her phone call. Character and mother were sitting at the kitchen table waiting for sister to come back from her phone call. Sister comes back into the room after finishing her phone call, and I'm like, this is so bad. And I have the strong urge to rewrite it, but for now I've just crossed it out and I'm trying to like simplify things more. Definitely with NaNoWriMo, I've added in a lot of like extraneous fluff and words I don't need to use, or I'm just repeating things really unnecessary. But I think that also has to do with the fact that I just wrote it all and didn't reread anything. I know I was doing some edits back in Camp NaNoWriMo, the previous Camp NaNoWriMo, but reading it on the paper is such a game changer because I find that reading it on my computer, it is really easy to make the change and then your eyes just kind of gloss over everything else you've done. But in this case, I don't have the option to delete and backspace my words, so I'm just making do with what I have, but I am finding it really useful so far and identifying some changes I need to make going forward. And already I'm really looking forward to some chapters I've written in here. I know I'm kind of just getting through the introduction of my book right now. So yeah, taking it slow, but if you have any tips on editing on a physical piece of paper without getting too frustrated with yourself, I would love to hear them. This is my first time ever doing this. I feel like any other time I've ever edited anything, I haven't really had access to a printer, so I would just edit it on my computer screen as is. Anyways, I have a few minutes before work, but I'm not going to get into the editing because I definitely lose track of time while I'm reading. I have not updated my little focus journal yet. I think I forgot to mention it earlier, but if I can find a link for it, I will leave it down below. So far, I've really been enjoying it, and it's also been helping me kind of keep track of some personal to-do lists in my life. I have not been doing a good job of filling in the little hearts I made for myself. I actually haven't filled in any at all because I was waiting for the chance to talk to you. So yeah, I'm gonna color those in now, and also I just wanted to say that if you thought my hearts were not perfectly drawn, I am sorry. Yeah, they are not, but you know, they're very authentic hearts to me. So my little task this morning is going to be to color in the first 4 because I'm still reviewing the 5th chapter. And I should also update my progress on the Camp NaNoWriMo website, so I will do all of that now. Good morning and happy Friday. I just spent some time finishing off editing the chapter that I was kind of partway through the other day, and then another half of another chapter. Again, I apologize if you hear any random noises from outside here. It is a bit quieter this morning, so I sat down to take the time to do some editing. Yesterday, as I'm sure many of you Taylor Swift fans out there, myself included, last night she released Taylor's version of her album Speak Now, which was definitely an album that I listened to a lot in high school, and I've still listened to it throughout the years, and I totally don't keep up with release dates on music, so when it came out I was super excited, and I was in the middle of doing some dishes and editing my video that went up today. And it's been a long time since I've listened to the album in its entirety. I remember in high school I had it on a CD and then I had it on an iPod, so I would often listen to the full album just like that, but it has been a very long time. So there were actually quite a few songs I haven't listened to in a little while. As I was cleaning last night and listening to the music, I'm really questioning how much inspiration I took from this album and these songs towards this current novel, because as I've mentioned before, I initially came up with the idea and kind of the main story points for this story back in high school, and I've tried to keep them, like, you know, I've grown and matured over the years, but I still wanted to keep some of these things true to the story. And it was just super interesting hearing the songs, and maybe subconsciously I was very inspired by the Taylor Swift album, even though I think I was really more into pop punk songs back then, which definitely also probably played into some of the plot points in this novel. But yeah, I don't want to spoil anything, so I won't go into any further detail about the specifics of what points of these songs definitely inspired things in this novel, or at least I think it did. Maybe I will do that in the future, a video about the lore of my novel, but I have to finish my novel first. I am concluding off this first week of Camp NaNoWriMo with 5.5 chapters edited. I will update the website later. I think progress is going fine. I know this weekend and next week are going to be super busy for me, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be bringing this whole novel with me, but I am hoping to make good progress this weekend. And of course, I will take you along with me for that. I'm sorry if this vlog is a little bit shorter than my other ones or not as intensive. I'm just not exactly exactly sure what to say or what to show you throughout this editing process. If there's anything you'd like to see or anything you'd like me to talk about, I definitely can. Some of you guys have mentioned that you really like hearing me talk about my struggles with my writing or this editing process. And I know none of you mean that like I want you to suffer and I want to see that, but more to know that like you're not alone in this, and definitely you are not if you are going through a editing process. I just keep discovering really silly mistakes or really silly wording, and it just doesn't make sense to me. Something that I just don't really know what I'm doing with is dialogue tags or addressing which character is speaking. I know people can follow along if there's like back and forth dialogue, but is it really helpful to really like illustrate, even if it's in a simple way, who's speaking pretty much every time? I guess that's a question I can eventually ask my beta readers if all the dialogue makes sense, because definitely I know that there are some things where I get a little bit lost in who's speaking at the moment, but maybe it's just a problem with me and my attention span. But I guess this is why I'm doing the read through. I'm just kind of feeling a little bit blah at the thought of discovering more awkward moments like that. Overall, it's like having this physically in front of me, getting a physical representation of how much I've done versus how much I have left to do. It's a little bit overwhelming, but all I can do is just take it one chapter at a time, one sentence at a time, one word at a time, and that's what I'm gonna keep doing because, like I've said before, I don't think I can continue on with the actual writing until I do all this and have something to refer to go back to. I also think I need to start utilizing some post-it notes because there are definitely some notes I want to be moving around as I go throughout this thing and don't want to just write them down here. But I think that is all from me for this little writing editing vlog. Thank you so much for watching and for being here. I know I say this all the time, but I really do like to hear what you are currently working on so we can encourage each other in the comments. So please let me know. And of course, if you'd enjoyed this vlog, it means a lot to me if you left me a like. If you've enjoyed this vlog and you're not already subscribed, please subscribe because I do make more writing vlogs, vlogs about my life, and fun little creative, sometimes food related endeavors, which you will see from me from time to time. I will be doing some traveling this month as well, which is very exciting. So I think you can look forward to some little travel vlogs as well. So until next time, thank you for spending some time with me, and I will see you again very soon. Bye!